Welcome to Women on Purpose. My name is Jo, and I am so glad you're here. We've all seen it, someone demanding to speak to the manager, arguing over expired coupons, or throwing a tantrum over the smallest inconvenience. That's what the internet calls a Karen. But what's really going on inside a Karen's head? A Karen isn't just a silly meme or a viral moment on social media. She's become a stereotype of an entitled, demanding, and often rude middle-aged woman who expects the world to revolve around her. This matters more than you might think. Understanding where this behavior comes from can help us recognize it in others, and more importantly, in ourselves. We all have moments where life feels unfair, and it's easy to let frustration get the best of us. But how we react says a lot about our emotional intelligence, our mindset, and how we treat people. Some women may fall into Karen habits because of stress, insecurity, or just not feeling seen or heard. Others may have learned this behavior over time, thinking it's the only way to be taken seriously. The truth is, we're all human, and we all want to feel respected. But demanding it from others in angry or entitled ways doesn't lead to connection or growth. This essay is about getting honest with ourselves in a kind and loving way. It's about exploring what drives this kind of behavior and how we can flip the script. Instead of feeding our inner Karen, let's strengthen our emotional awareness, our patience, and our kindness. Let's be the kind of women who lead with confidence, not control. Because when we understand what's really going on inside, we're better equipped to show up as our best selves, calm, compassionate, and powerful in all the right ways. So let's dig into what makes a Karen and how we can make sure we're not becoming one. Why do some people turn into Karens? The entitlement trap. I deserve special treatment. Some people truly believe the world should cater to their needs, no matter the situation. That mindset is what we call entitlement, and it's a big part of what turns someone into a Karen. For some, it starts with privilege, growing up always getting what they want without being told no. Others have learned over time that making a scene or complaining gets them faster results, so they keep doing it. And in many cases, there's a simple lack of empathy, no real thought about how their actions affect the people around them. Ever met someone who acts like the rules don't apply to them? That's entitlement in action, and it can show up anywhere, from restaurants to return counters to everyday conversations. When someone believes they are more important than others, they're more likely to lash out when things don't go their way. The problem is, this attitude doesn't lead to respect. It leads to frustration, conflict, and isolation. Entitled people often feel let down or ignored, which only makes them push harder for control. But trying to force your way through life only creates more stress. The truth is, none of us are more important than anyone else. We all deserve kindness, but we also owe it to others. When we trade entitlement for humility, we open the door to better relationships and more meaningful moments. Recognizing this trap is the first step toward choosing a better way. And the good news is, we all have the power to make that choice. Emotional meltdowns. I can't handle frustration. One of the biggest reasons people have those dramatic Karen moments is poor emotional regulation. When someone hasn't learned how to manage frustration in a healthy way, it doesn't take much to set them off. Whether it's a wrong coffee order or a long wait in line, they react with anger instead of calm problem solving. And more often than not, they blame everyone else instead of taking a breath and asking, how can I handle this better? It's not just about being rude. It's about feeling out of control and letting emotions take over. We've all had moments where our feelings bubble up before we have a chance to think clearly. The difference is in what we choose to do next. Do we explode, or do we pause, breathe, and reset? Learning to respond instead of react is one of the most powerful tools we have as women. It shows maturity, strength, and emotional intelligence. Even when the situation is frustrating, staying calm helps us keep our dignity and get better results. Frustration is part of life, but meltdowns don't have to be. When we practice patience, empathy, and self-awareness, we become the kind of women who handle tough moments with grace. That's where real power lives, not in yelling, but in knowing how to stay grounded when things go wrong. The need for control. I want things my way. Some people just can't handle being told no. Whether it's a store policy or someone setting a boundary, it can feel like a personal attack to someone who craves control. These are often the women who raise their voices, push back on rules, and insist that things be done their way. Underneath that behavior is something called authoritarian thinking. Basically, the belief that others should follow their lead without question. It might look like confidence on the outside, but deep down, it's often rooted in insecurity and anxiety. When life feels unpredictable or overwhelming, trying to control everything can feel like a safety net. But of course, the world doesn't always bend to our will. And when it doesn't, some people lash out. Instead of going with the flow, they push harder, hoping they'll feel more in control again. But forcing people to obey doesn't lead to peace. It creates conflict. And nobody wants to be around someone who constantly demands their way. True confidence is knowing that you don't have to control everything to feel safe. It's about trusting that even if things don't go as planned, you'll still be okay. When we let go of that need to dominate every situation, we make space for connection, understanding, and calm. So the next time something doesn't go your way, take a deep breath and remind yourself, control isn't the goal. Grace is. Playing the victim. I'm not the problem. You are. One of the classic signs of a Karen is the way she shifts blame onto everyone else. Instead of admitting she might be overreacting, she plays the victim and insists she's being treated unfairly. This defense mechanism kicks in fast when someone feels their power or authority is being challenged. Rather than take responsibility, they lash out and make others the bad guys. It's often about more than just the moment. It's about deeper feelings of being unseen, unheard, or insecure. When someone feels like they're losing control or not getting respect, they might go into victim mode as a way to protect themselves. But blaming others doesn't solve the problem, it just pushes people away. These days, social media only makes it worse. Public meltdowns get attention, and sometimes people mistake that attention for validation. We've all seen those viral videos where someone throws a tantrum and then tries to spin the story like they were the ones being mistreated. But real strength comes from being honest with yourself and staying calm when things get tough. When we take ownership of our reactions, we grow. And when we let go of the need to be right all the time, we open the door to empathy and connection. No one is perfect, but we can choose to be better. Let's stop the blame game and start showing up with grace and accountability instead. Generational influence. Growing up in the customer is always right era. Many women were raised in a time when the phrase, the customer is always right, was more than just a saying. It was a way of life. Boomers and Gen X grew up with different expectations around authority, service, and how people should be treated in public spaces. They were taught that speaking up loudly and firmly would get results, and sometimes it did. But now, the world is changing. Younger generations are pushing back on that mindset and calling out entitled behavior, especially when it comes at the expense of kindness and respect. What once passed as being assertive now looks more like being rude or unreasonable. Some women find it hard to adjust to these new social norms. They're not used to being told no or having their behavior questioned, especially in public. And when they feel challenged or dismissed, it can lead to frustration and defensiveness. But kindness isn't weakness. It's a sign of emotional intelligence. The strongest women today know how to speak up without putting others down. They value connection over control and dignity over dominance. Adapting to a kinder, more respectful world doesn't mean you lose your voice. It means learning how to use it in ways that uplift instead of tear down. And when we do that, we set an example for the next generation of women to lead with compassion, not entitlement. Insecurity and midlife struggles when life feels out of control. Let's be honest, midlife can be hard. Between aging, shifting hormones, changing family roles, and personal stress, it's no wonder some women feel overwhelmed. When life starts to feel out of control, some women act out, not because they're mean, but because they're hurting or unsure of where they fit anymore. Feeling invisible or unappreciated can bring up deep insecurity, especially in a society that glorifies youth and constant success. For some women, the only way to feel seen is to demand attention, often in ways that push others away. It's easy to mistake control for power when we're feeling powerless inside. But there's a better way to handle those emotions. When we slow down and recognize what we're really feeling, we can begin to choose healthier ways to respond. Instead of snapping at a cashier, we can go for a walk, journal our thoughts, or call a friend. Doing something creative or physical helps release tension and brings a sense of calm. Volunteering or helping someone else can remind us of our purpose and worth. Even something as simple as practicing daily gratitude can shift our focus from frustration to fulfillment. We all want to feel valuable and respected, and we are. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves that we don't have to be loud or demanding to matter. Choosing peace, self-awareness, and growth is the best way to stay grounded, even when life feels messy. The power of self-awareness. How to recognize Karen, moments in ourselves. The truth is, we've all had a Karen moment, whether it was snapping at someone, rolling our eyes, or being a little too sharp with our words. The difference between staying stuck in that behavior and growing past it is self-awareness. One of the most helpful things we can do is pause and ask ourselves, am I being fair? And would I want to be treated this way? These little questions help bring us back to a place of calm and clarity. When we take a breath before reacting, we give ourselves a chance to respond with emotional intelligence instead of impulse. That's not always easy, especially when we're tired, stressed, or feeling disrespected. But those are the moments that matter most. Practicing empathy means remembering that the person in front of us might be having a hard day too. Patience is choosing to stay kind, even when things don't go our way. And kindness? That's the heart of it all. You can still stand up for yourself without being unkind or entitled. The most powerful women aren't the ones who yell the loudest, they're the ones who stay calm, clear, and respectful under pressure. The next time you feel that heat rise, take a second to pause. You don't have to react right away. Let your values, not your emotions, lead the way. When we lead with empathy and grace, we show up as the best version of ourselves. Flipping the script, how to replace Karen energy with confidence and grace. The classy, not Karen approach. Here's the good news. You don't have to be a Karen to get what you need. You can be strong, speak up for yourself, and still be classy and kind. Confidence is not the same as entitlement. Confidence means knowing your worth and calmly asking for what you need without making someone else feel small. Entitlement demands, confidence communicates. When things go wrong, like a messed up order, long wait, or rude comment, it's okay to speak up. But how you speak up makes all the difference. Try using calm, respectful words like, "Can you help me fix this?" instead of launching into attack mode. People are far more willing to help when they feel respected. Body language matters too. A friendly tone and eye contact go a long way. You can be direct without being rude. You can set boundaries without being aggressive. Staying calm in a tough moment doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're in control of yourself. Grace under pressure is one of the most powerful things a woman can master. And when you handle yourself with kindness and strength, you don't just feel better, you inspire others too. Let's be women who walk in confidence, speak with kindness, and lead by example. That's what real power looks like. The kindness is queen mindset. Let's talk about the real secret to confidence. It's kindness. Being kind doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means knowing you can stand tall without stepping on anyone else. A calm voice, a little humor, and self-awareness can completely shift the energy in a frustrating moment. Kindness has the power to change how others respond to you and how you feel about yourself. Whether you're dealing with a slow cashier, a tough day at work, or an annoying comment, choosing kindness keeps your peace intact. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And let's not forget who's watching. Younger women, kids, nieces, and neighbors notice how we react under pressure. We have a chance to model what it means to be both strong and gentle at the same time. Treating people well, especially service workers, isn't just about manners. It's about humanity. These are real people, doing their best, and how we treat them says more about us than anything else. Plus, kindness always finds a way to come back around. A smile, a thank you, or a little patience can ripple into someone else's day in ways we may never see. Let's lead with kindness, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it makes life feel lighter and better. In a world that's often loud and demanding, kindness really is queen. Emotional burnout. Let's talk about something that doesn't always get enough attention. Emotional burnout. Many women, especially in midlife, are carrying years of stress, responsibility, and unmet needs. We give so much of ourselves to our families, work, and communities that we sometimes forget to check in with our own well-being. Over time, this can lead to a quiet kind of exhaustion that builds and builds. When those feelings go unaddressed, they don't just disappear. They often show up as irritability, anger, or the need to control everything around us. That's when the Karen moments sneak in. Not because someone is mean or selfish, but because they're overwhelmed and not sure how to cope. Emotional burnout can make even small problems feel huge. And when we've been holding everything in for too long, even a wrong coffee order can feel like the last straw. That's why taking care of our emotional health is so important. We need rest, support, and space to just be human. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. When we give ourselves permission to slow down and breathe, we become women who show up with strength, calm, and compassion instead of chaos. How to deal with Karens in the wild. We've all been there. Standing in line or scrolling online when a full-blown Karen moment happens right in front of us. It's uncomfortable, frustrating, and sometimes even a little scary. The first thing to remember is this: stay calm. Reacting with equal intensity usually makes things worse, not better. Instead of matching their energy, try to ground yourself. Take a deep breath, speak calmly, and avoid sarcasm. It only adds fuel to the fire. If you're a bystander, offer support to the person being targeted, but only if it feels safe to do so. Sometimes just standing nearby or making eye contact with someone under fire can make a big difference. If the situation escalates, it's okay to remove yourself. You're not responsible for fixing someone else's meltdown. Later, reflect on what happened and how you handled it. Every experience helps build emotional strength. When you meet rudeness with grace, you show the kind of woman you are: calm, confident, and in control of her own reactions. And that's how we help shift the energy. One kind response at a time. Conclusion. Breaking the Karen cycle and choosing better. We all have frustrating moments, but how we handle those moments says so much about who we are. It's easy to let emotions take over, but it takes real strength to pause and respond with kindness. We're not perfect, and we don't have to be. What matters most is being aware of how we treat others, especially when we're under pressure. The world doesn't need more loud voices demanding attention. It needs more strong, kind, emotionally intelligent women. Women who can stay calm when things get messy. Women who choose respect even when they're angry. Women who lead with grace, humor, and self-control. The next time you feel a little Karen energy rising up, take a deep breath. Step back. Ask yourself, what kind of woman do I want to be right now? Because that one moment of reflection can shift everything. You have the power to break the cycle, to choose better, and to set a new example for those around you. Let's be the kind of women who make others feel safe, seen, and respected. Let's choose calm over chaos, kindness over control, and confidence over criticism. We don't need to be perfect, we just need to be present, aware, and willing to grow.